Hey, this is Jano, and this is a series where I learn a character so you don't have to. I take 5 days learning the character, giving my overview of them. At the end, I'll interview a skilled player to give their thoughts about playing the character at a top level, so you can have a better idea which character you want to play. Today, we will be talking about Nagoriyuki. If you want to see more content like this or like this content, please like and subscribe so we can make our way up to 1,000 subscribers. Nago is considered a one-shot character by Arc System Works. He has many things that are unique to him, especially in an anime game. He's a big body character that does not have the ability to ground dash or air dash like most other characters can do, which initially has him feeling pretty slow. Nago has a unique ability to cancel special moves into special moves, which most other characters cannot do. The main focus around the characters is blood gauge. This allows them to cancel special moves into each other, each special move costing a specific amount of blood to use. The way you get blood back is by hitting your opponent with a sword, command grab, or super. Each level of blood increasing the range, damage, and frame data of some of Nago's moves. It also increases the amount of damage he takes with the levels of blood he's at. When you mismanage the blood, you have a chance of popping, where you will go into a vulnerable state, where you lose your health for a short period of time, and you cannot use special moves, but you get access to huge normals, increased chip damage, and a super that lets you exit the mode. Nago relies on using his special moves to move around the screen and apply pressure, and putting you into scary spots where you can capitalize on his large amounts of damage to finish you off. Nago is a pretty hard character to initially pick up, mostly considering how his blood works. Each special move takes a different amount of blood, so it's pretty hard to initially figure out how much specials I can do in a combo or block stream. Around day 5 was a little easier for me, but even around then I was having a hard time gauging how much I could pump out, and eventually led to me popping a lot. Also, he does not have the ability to air dash or ground dash like other characters in Guilty Gear do, which made playing against long range characters hard at times at high amounts of blood. He does have access to ground dash with Fukio back and forward, which costs half a bar of blood, and clone, which breaks projectiles and costs 1 bar of blood. It's pretty hard to get used to the fact that I was a big body character and needed to constantly use special moves to move around the screen. Once you get the hang of all of that, the character starts feeling pretty fluid. Fukio and Beyblade are able to cover a lot of the screen, and since you could special move into special move, you can pick up easily off stray hits. If you get a good grasp of the blood gauge, the character will feel more intuitive quicker. Definitely a character that is not pick up and play, but after a bit of effort in figuring out his blood mechanic, it's not super hard to initially pick up. I'll give intuitiveness a 6 out of 10. I think the gameplay was pretty interesting for this character. As the character evolves so heavily around his blood mechanic, you essentially can play the character in many different ways. You have to play the character in 2 forms, 2 plus blood level and 0 to 1 blood level. Different blood levels kind of gauge how you can play them, and this is where the character becomes really fun and interesting to learn. You go really hard early in using a lot of special moves to gain a big advantage, or you can be more reserved with your blood and only use it when punishes are guaranteed. Playing in 2 blood limits how you can use your blood. You'll be spacing a lot out with 5H and 2H, trying to get any amount of blood back as possible to start spending it again. I tend to use 2 blood pretty early and had to rely on playing slow for a bit. You have to have that switch in your head to be able to switch up game plan depending on matchup, blood level, and situation, which is super fun to work with and interesting. I would say it was pretty difficult to initially figure out how to play the 2 modes and how to properly manage blood, but once I got a decent grasp on it, it was not that bad. It was really fun having 0 blood and be able to pump out specials and high lows, and if that didn't work out, cool it down a bit. You really have to figure out how you want to use the character resources, and it's entirely up to you, which makes learning a bit easier. There are so many cool things you can do with this character, so you can really choose how you want to play it out. You can use Beyblade and Shizu pressure to put opponents in scary spots, or use the command grab to force scary strike those situations. Using Fukio and Clone to be able to instantly force up close pressure if not checked, or use your long range to weave in and out of range and punish your opponent for playing recklessly. The versatility of this character allows for so many playstyles to be shown. Difficulty of learning the game plan, I give a 6 out of 10. This character was not difficult in the execution category. It was mainly linking special moves together, and some combos were a bit difficult, but compared to other characters, it was not hard execution-wise. I think the most difficult part of the character was managing blood while combo. Always in my head I was like, okay, I did 3 special moves, I could afford 1 more. Sometimes it'd be fine, sometimes it would come to my demise. I think eventually it became more of a feel thing, but understanding where I was blood-wise was hard to determine. I was able to learn 2 to 3 combos fairly easily. The combos got a bit harder depending on where I was on the screen, if it was a counter hit or not. I started getting more granular with the combos around day 3, but the initial combos I learned were pretty basic and effective. Applying pressure with this character was also something that started to get a bit difficult. So the main way you apply pressure is using your special moves and forcing mix-ups and strike throw. Felt like if I did not have enough blood, I had a hard time opening people up without taking some type of gamble or being fine with going back to pressing 5H and 2H for blood back against my opponent after the initial pressure sequence was done. He does have amazing buttons like 5K, 2S, and close slash. Using those to get something started was never a problem, just wanting to get something started myself was a bit hard with no blood. Something else that was difficult was decision making depending on blood level. Getting a hit was not always big damage, at least early on. If I was high blood, I had to sacrifice a lot of damage to go into the far slash Rekka to gain blood back, which felt kinda bad. I also didn't always know which decision was better, getting blood back or going all in on damage. That's something you'll figure out with time, but it's very hard for me to understand at first. It caused a lot of issues for you initially. I'll give overall difficulty a 5 out of 10. I initially was not having a lot of fun with Nago. Being a big body, not being able to air dash, and being so limited by the gauge just was not my thing. I'll say, once I got the hang of using the character, figuring out his game plan with his command grab to get blood back, using his Beyblade clone Fukio and Seiju to apply pressure, I felt very powerful. He also could pump out a lot of damage. Even though he does not have the ability to air dash, using Fukio and Beyblade to move around the screen felt really fun. He is a very strong character, and he almost feels like a boss character. You can play him in so many different ways, and see his ability to essentially play how you want. If you like gambling with blood, maybe routing into pop combos, he allows you to do that. If you like playing more reserved, using blood only when you know you can guarantee damage and pressure, you can play like that. If you like getting to level 2 blood as fast as possible and using the range to control the screen, you can do that. The ability to convert special moves into special moves, any hit can turn into a big combo. It always feels action-packed when you get something going. Since he has all these tools and big damage, you'll find yourself going with super janky stuff because the reward is so high, which is actually really fun and funny once you start getting the hang of it. Whenever I did something silly, got big damage, or was able to do a sick combo linking special moves together, for a full conversion, I always had a smile on my face. Getting big hits with your huge normals like 2H, close slash, always had me in awe with the crazy stuff this character can do. Who knows, maybe we'll command grab loot someone, which is always funny. Don't go too hard though, or you will pop and regret it. For being a big, slow body character, he can really turn up the speed of the game whenever he wants, which is super exciting to watch and play. I'll give the fun factor a 9 out of 10. In my 5 days of learning Nago was definitely a fun and interesting experience. Day 1, I learned some pretty basic combos and immediately went to go play in tower, but I could tell my blood management was rough and needed a lot of work. I popped so many times. Day 2 to 3, I figured out how to use his blood gauge better and learned better combos based on where I was on the screen. This is where the character started becoming a little more fun to me. Day 3 to 5 was pretty comfortable with the character and was further able to explore his command grab, movement, and mix-up situations, which led me to some nice wins. I went from initially never wanting to touch the character after this was over to essentially playing him on my free time and on stream for fun. He definitely is a high-octane character that can get a lot of mileage out of. He's not super hard, but he is pretty deep, where you can spend a lot of time finding optimal routes, setups, to further better your game plan with him. I had a great time playing this character, and had some great moments with his damage pressure, which usually left me laughing and smiling. If you like explosive characters, big bodies that compete evenly with a lot of the cast, and don't mind the idea of not air dashing, this is a character for you. Everyone, this is new head Meeks, Nago player, really good.
Hello.
Did really good at some tourneys, top 8 at a TNS, and yeah, pretty solid player. So for the first question, what is it like playing the character at a top level?
At a top level to play Nago, it's pretty rewarding. The character he always got your back. As long as you perform well and you manage everything properly, the wins will come. So, and it's also fun to play against people that are so practiced with Nago. He hasn't really changed much in like 2 seasons. So you really have to like play solid, up your game. Can't really knowledge check him or knowledge check people on Nago at the top. So the wins feel pretty earned, and he's a really rewarding character, and I enjoy playing him.
What challenges do you think you face with Nago?
I guess like I previously mentioned, you're not gonna find matchups where the opponent doesn't know what you're doing, or you can get away with a couple things. Everyone's very practiced against Nago, so like I said, you really have to be on your game to try to get wins, especially against the really prepared players. The other challenge that's more unique to him is conversions. You have to properly manage when you go all out on damage and when you go a little bit more reserved surrounding the burst gauge, your own blood gauge, the wall damage. There's a lot of variables in place, so figuring out what route to go for at what time is probably the hardest part of the character.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I was playing him, that was pretty difficult. I'm just like, I got 2 blood. I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah. A lot of times you just route to far slash and you're like, or send it. Like that's it.
Yeah. What do you like about playing the character at a top level, like advantage wise, I guess?
Advantage wise, to compete with him is pretty nice because his like generally regarded losing matchups, those being Bridget, Testament, Axel, 5-frame low. These characters aren't represented that much at the top. So most of the time your worst matchups are going to be just even, and the other ones are going to be winning. So as long as you get the right tournament path, dodge those very few players on those characters, you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. What issues do you think the character has, or what would you change about the character if you could?
As for like viability, I think the character is fine. He'll totally win when he needs to. He's very strong. But the main issue I think he has right now is a lack of identity in season 3. He has they took away from his stability with 6H OTG being removed, and they gave him that 6H guard crush that he can't really. I mean, he can play RPS with it, but on counter hit, he can't really convert off of it. And they gave him a high load that cannot be properly converted without meter. If he hits the high without meter, it's just going to turn into a knockdown, and that's it. So, in a game where in Season 3 we have Alpha Vampire, we have Slayer in the game, and we have other characters that can have high-low meterless conversions like Bridget, like I previously mentioned. He's kind of in a weird spot where he's just kind of has some of everything, and it's not everything's kind of properly working as much as I'd want it to. So he also hasn't changed much, which sucks as far as trying to stay on the character. He can get boring if you stay on him for that long. I mean, it's been what, 3 years? He hasn't changed really.
Yeah, no, that's the thing with playing the base roster game, is just you just are in a constant state of I need this character to change, especially if your character's like Nago, Ram.
Yeah,
you're basically been the same character for so long.
So, but that's his biggest issue to me, is his lack of identity. I wish he was more like the strike throw powerhouse he was before. I wish he was more. I wish they did away with the mix or committed to it. I wish he had something going for him that's unique to him.
Yeah, he's kind of in the middle. He's not a mix of character. He's not a super strike throw character. He kind of has to do a little bit of both to get some wins. So that makes sense. What was your initial reason for picking up the character?
This is my first fighting game. When I booted up Strive, because my friends told me to give it a try, the character select screen opened, and the very first character lands on is Nago, and I was like, this character looks insane. I need to play this guy. So it was 100% just off of day one. This character looks sick. I want to main this character, and I stuck around.
No, that's completely fair. He is one of the coolest characters in the game, and
I love his design.
The last thing is, what would you suggest for a new player to learn if they were to pick up your character?
So I'm in the main Strive Discord, I'm like a guru, so I help a lot of the beginners learn, and more often than not, it is just learning to route your conversions to either end on super or / Rekka. A lot of players early on will pop because they're not routing properly, or they're missing damage, so that's the main one is try to route your Rekkas or combos to end one of those two, and that way you won't have as many blood issues. And yeah, the other one I guess would be to take your foot off the pedal a little bit. Not so much gas. A lot of players are popping fairly early on, so take it easy, stay stable, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, he's got that like weird situation where he has so much gas, but like he also is really good at playing just like a slower game. All right, thank you. I appreciate the interview, and I will probably post your Twitter. I know you don't stream, and if anyone wants any tips from Nago, you can join our Discord and probably ask Meeks or join the Nago Discord. I don't have a link to that, but I'll probably get it from Meeks. So, thank you again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.